Well, hello there, and welcome to Last Ball Drops. First one of Wimbledon for me, and I'm very, very happy to be joined by Mr. Andre Rolenberg. Andre, how are you doing? Enjoy today?
Yeah, great. I'm doing great. It's a little sucky for some of the course that just kind of got rained out, but it's okay, I guess. It happens at
Yeah.
Wimbledon.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it happens at the French too, but Wimbledon it does seem to be fairly synonymous with. It has to be said. Um, I guess if we want to start with that, obviously, we do have there does seem to be somewhat of a problem with the men's draw at the minute because they only completed 4 matches today, which means they've got to try and get the other 12 done tomorrow, which is not ideal, especially for those involved. So people we didn't get, people we didn't get who didn't get done. Daniel Medvedev lost. He was 2 sets to love up, and then ended up down to stuff. Joe, actually, we'll go through that in a minute. I think actually I'm going to swerve. You can tell I've not done this for a while. So yeah, we're actually going to swerve a bit, and let's talk about the main headline of today. Before we go into who didn't finish, let's talk about who did finish eventually, because it ended up being the headline today is Carlos Alcaraz got taken to 5 sets by Francis Tiafoe, which in retrospect maybe shouldn't have been that big a surprise given it's Tiafoe and he's a big court player and he likes being in stadiums, but he hasn't exactly been on great form. Still somewhat unexpected. Alcaraz survives. But yeah, thoughts on that match, Andre?
Yeah, I mean, caught some glimpses of the first two sets, but started really watching about like end of the third and got like the fourth and fifth sets. But it's definitely for Alcaraz, it has been a bit of like the same thing as it has been throughout maybe all year, really, and a bit of like last year, where sort of inconsistent in a sense, but like finding his best energy when he really needs it. Just kind of his like energy is like a little up and down. Forehand sometimes takes a little while to kind of like really wind up and get going. Sometimes gets a little loopier, maybe trying to protect the arm a little from the injury that he's had before. Yeah, it was definitely, I think, was a surprise because, as you said, like Tiafoe hasn't been playing some of his best tennis. Kind of has been trying to pick it up like the past couple of weeks. Suffered an injury, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, like on the knee, which showed a bit today. I think he kind of came back a little at the end and the beginning of the fifth set when he had slipped. And he really wasn't moving as well, but he was definitely peaking in the third and even the fourth set. He got I think it was like 5-all or like four all. It was like he had Alcaraz at love 30 on his service. He could have broken to serve for the match, which would have been really, really tense for Alcaraz because he was serving absolutely amazing. So I was surprised. I thought that if we were to see like a big fight from Tiafoe, we would have gone 4 sets. But to get this close from really like taking out the defending champion, Alcaraz was coming back from the win at Roland Garros. Even though he didn't really do super well at Queens, I have a personal theory that for him is he's probably just thinking a little too much about his win at Roland Garros and Paris Olympics, which is coming, also on clay. So maybe that was a bit of a time of him like trying to thinking, how much should he give to the grass courts? But I think it's kind of probably back into like, the groove, and it's a Grand Slam. He wants to win the big trophies. And if anything, this was a big wake up call for him. I think too that nothing's going to come easy. Anyone's going to be able to could be able to just come out of the gates and just swinging. So he needs to be sharp. So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise to me. But yeah, this also guarantees for at least for now that Alcaraz is going to remain world number 3 because if he had lost today, he would have gone down.
Okay, right. So
Yeah.
he would have got overtaken by Zverev.
Yeah.
Wow, I haven't looked at the live rankings for a while. So that's a lot at stake. But yeah, I guess with all those points coming off, and it would be weird to me if he was taking it easy and trying to prioritize the Olympics, because given how many points he's got, he does want to keep his ranking as good as possible. I think how much of this match was dictated by Alcaraz's level, because that seemed to be a lot of the discourse coming out of it was, if Alcaraz was playing better, this match would have been over a lot sooner, maybe in like 4 sets.
Yeah, it's tough to say because I think Tiafoe did such a great job at serving well and just like taking the ball really early, being extremely aggressive. He was hitting his forehand really well as well. I think part of it was Alcaraz's forehand just kind of really not firing as well as they normally do, especially the running cross-court forehand. It wasn't necessarily coming along, but I think it's a great portion of the match was Tiafoe really making sure that Alcaraz was not able to pick up his level. It's frustrating him with like coming up to the net, just being aggressive and serving aces, serving really big. So I think it's there's a lot more credit that Tiafoe deserves here than
Yeah.
Alcaraz. But if Alcaraz's level was inconsistent for sure. But yeah, I'm not too sure exactly. It's a balance. I mean, it's part of it was Alcaraz's level being bad. Part of it was Tiafoe's level just being extremely high.
Yeah, and do you know what? This is the best I've seen Tiafoe for a while, because when I watch him normally, I find him a little flat at points. And then when he comes alive, he's absolutely brilliant to watch. And I want to get your opinion on this, because I've heard it said, but I think it's true. Tiafoe only plays his best tennis on big stadiums, especially at the US Open.
I think he really does love the crowd. I think it's definitely one of those players. I think he's not necessarily a player like, not that I like to mention too much of him, but like Nick Kyrgios is a lot more like hot and cold when it comes to like smaller stadiums and big stadiums. But I think Tiafoe's just like in a big slump right now. So that was the thing. And in terms of like playing at the US Open, I think that's just an extremely American thing, except for Serena Williams, where the Americans play better on the US in the US, and at the US Open they're just on fire. They just love being there. Not that Serena Williams does not love being in New York, but I think that the pressure on her was gigantic, even more than probably any other player has been. So yeah, I think for Tiafoe, it's just like the US Open's a no-brainer. He's definitely going to play his best tennis ever at that stadium.
All right. Well, I think you did make a good point about Carlos earlier, saying that, maybe because we were all of us talking about Carlos's draw being all right for him, actually, up until maybe the quarterfinals, because we weren't expecting Tiafoe to be much of a threat. I mean, with this wake-up call, are we now going to be talking in different terms? Could Nakashima or Humbert cause them some headaches, depending on how that all resolves itself tomorrow, potentially in Humbert's favor?
What do you have to say about that one?
I would say Alcaraz. If Alcaraz has woken up, he should be the favorite to win that. Humbert is a tricky player, especially on grass, and he won't make things easy at all. But I do have a suspicion that. But yeah, I do think that Alcaraz will be able to deal with whatever Humbert can throw at him. The Tommy Paul question is a big one for me. If it's Tommy Paul in the quarters, given how much Tommy Paul has messed up with Alcaraz and being able to beat him on fast, hard courts, I can see a scenario where this goes 5 on grass, even if Alcaraz is playing better. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, part of me kind of wants Nakashima to win this match just because it kind of there's just that one point that happened during the next gen finals where it was probably one of the best points that Alcaraz has ever played in his life. It's like he probably got overplayed for an entire year after he did it. It's like this extremely incredible defense point, and he just kind of at the end, like I think Nakashima clipped the net on the forehand, and Alcaraz had to improvise, and it was just an incredible point. But yeah, I don't particularly think that any of these players will do much to trouble Alcaraz playing. I don't think they have the firepower that I think would be necessary. I think Tiafoe was a good player to test Alcaraz. I don't think either Nakashima or Humbert are going to rise to that particular level, in my opinion. But about Tommy Paul, yeah, definitely, absolutely. It's definitely a guy that for some reason just Alcaraz just struggles hard against on the fast surface. I don't know if they played it anywhere else other than hard courts, have they?
I think it is just hard courts. Could be wrong. But I think it is. I can look it up. But yeah, Carlos Alcaraz versus Francis Tiafoe. No, not Francis Tiafoe. Tommy Paul. Wrong American. I've already looked at for Carlos Alcaraz versus. Let's have a look. So yeah, obviously the last time they played, here we go, ATP head-to-head. Yeah, live looking things on Talking Tennis, everyone. Carlos Alcaraz, Tommy Paul, the head-to-head is 2-2, and they've only ever played on outdoor hard courts in the US or North America. So they have played in Canada as well.
Yeah. But yeah, Paul is coming off of a title at Queens as well. Like he's feeling good on grass right now. And I think he's got a really, really good chance. I'm not sure exactly what's the level that Alcaraz is going to be playing. Of course, we need to know that Alcaraz needs to get through his next match before he gets there. But Brenda Johnson mentioned in the comments that Alcaraz did not look super well today. I missed that in terms of like the she was mentioning the towels.
That. I didn't think he looked ill. I didn't think he looked ill.
Yeah. So if there is something, it didn't show to me, especially like in the fifth set in the tiebreaker, he was just playing god level tennis. But if there is something, who knows? Maybe we'll figure out like next match, because I think especially Humbert, it might be a more approximate level to what Paul is going to be not level, but like style of what Paul is going to be playing. Just very fast player, just making balls back all the time. I think it's going to be somewhat similar to that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I think we get an Alcaraz Paul quarterfinal. I think it's going to be quite spectacular. Thoughts on Tommy Paul's result today, by the way? Got through Bublik in straight sets, which so far has been his easiest win of the tournament so far, given he's struggled through his opening couple of rounds. But today, against a potentially tough opponent, he got through it pretty well.
Yeah, I don't know. Bublik, what do you make of him? I think it's tough to say exactly. Like, I don't think he's feeling exactly well, like in terms of like he's a player that like he either wants to be there and plays great tennis, or he doesn't want to be there and just kind of like does his regular antics with like the underarm serve and just kind of whatever is his way into the match and ends up losing. So I'm not really surprised. I think Paul is a more consistent player and Bublik isn't. I think they're playing both of them 100%. I think Bublik is better, but Bublik is rarely giving his 100%, I guess, like to win every match, every point. So, yeah. And Paul is obviously like in a better place, I guess, in his career.
Yeah, maybe so. I'm liking the trajectory Paul's on at the minute. It has to be said. He's obviously now. I think is he still projected to stay US #1 after Wimbledon, or is Taylor Fritz going to have something to say about that?
Sorry, what's the question?
Is he projected to be US #1 after Wimbledon, or is Taylor Fritz going to have something to say about that?
That's a great question. Let me have a look at the live singles just to get an
Because I know
idea.
Paul is currently the US #1, I think.
Yeah, I think right now Fritz is projected to get back as American #1.
Fritz, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
As number 12 and 13. So
Yeah, because he's still got to close down the guys fighting for top 10 at the moment. It's a little bit of a points gap. I tell you what, side note, Fritz has got a great opportunity to do that.
who?
Fritz. Fritz has got a real good opportunity here, this tournament. He's
Yeah,
not
I
played
mean he's
tangent,
yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. I think Fritz kind of has this advantage right now where like I don't think people are necessarily looking too much at him, so he can kind of go through without a lot of pressure, just kind of playing within himself. And he's sneaky good. I mean, he's improved a lot of his movement. It's not perfect, but it's really good. He's got a good backhand. Of course, his forehand and serve are his main weapons, and those are some really important weapons to have on grass. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And he made this quarterfinals against Nadal that he lost.
He did. He was like a set
He-
away from making the semis against Kyrgios, which that match would have been interesting if that had happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
But time to make up for that, I suppose. I mean, let's see how the rest of this all goes. All right. Well, that's Tommy. We've covered Carlos Alcaraz and Tommy Paul. There weren't really any other epics today because the matches that were completed were all straight sets. And of course, someone that we always think of as winning in straight sets is Yannick Sinner. And he definitely did that today against Miomir Kecmanovic and was clearly the better player the entire match. It was a 6-1, 6-4, 6-2 win. Second set was more competitive, but for the most part, Sinner had an answer for everything Kecmanovic threw at him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Sinner just amazes me in just how clockwork his game seems to be. Just doesn't necessarily seem to miss ever. Like his forehand and backhand is extremely consistent in speed and topspin, and just the power that he generates from those. He's been moving really well lately as well. Just playing amazing tennis. I feel like if there is a comparison to be made, even on the WTA tour, I feel like right now he's kind of showing up as some sort of like Iga Swiatek in that sense, just like very, very good all the time, very consistent. It's not a flashy game, like in terms of like how Alcaraz is. As I also don't think Iga Swiatek is a flashy game, but it's highly effective, and you can appreciate it very well if you know where you're looking at. So, and Sinner is definitely that guy. He's like just total business, and yeah, just moves along. Doesn't necessarily like have any dips psychologically, emotionally. So yeah, I think it's just incredible to see the place where Yannick is at right now. It's just amazing. It's not really much to say about it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I love watching Yannick. His style is, you say clockwork, and it's very efficient tennis. But it's tennis perfected almost. Like he's figured it out, and he reminds me a lot of Novak from about 10 years ago. When he was still going for his shots and he wasn't just content to rally. There were points to say like he was really explosive, and that makes him absolutely brilliant and so hard to beat. So yeah, for me, Yannick was the favorite before the tournament, and Yannick was the favorite before the tournament. He still is now. I think I can only see Carlos stopping him.
You don't think Djokovic has a good chance?
He has a chance, but I think, honestly, my bracket is Sinner beats Djokovic in the final, probably in 4.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of Djokovic anymore these days, man. I just don't know. But yeah, it's like one of those things. Like for example, when Nadal hit the French Open this year, it's just Nadal's not the same. We're always scared of like saying anything wrong against Nadal. So it's for me, it's a bit of the same with Djokovic. Um, I don't feel like I want to rule him out at all until something big happens, or yeah, I want to see more matches of him. But yeah, Sinner's definitely right now showing signs of being a great number one, and he very well could and might as well win this tournament at the end of the day. So
yeah, I mean, he's playing well enough to do that. I mean, the Berrettini match, yeah, all right, Berrettini pushed him, but apart from, but you know, there was always this sense that Sinner would still come through that. And yeah, I think he's a very exciting prospect on grass right now. I think it's weird, in like 2 years, it's gone from a surface that he was not winning on to a surface that seems to suit him down to the ground.
yeah, we're still. Sorry, I'm just kind of like zoned out for a sec. We're still talking about Sinner, right?
Yes.
Or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think his game just developed into this like extremely like translatable thing. He's just so confident everywhere. But yeah, grass, I don't know. It's just his game is just good. I think it's just so good that he can do well everywhere. I like the motion and his shots is just extremely um, compact and just does well. And I think his slice improved a lot from last year as well, which is great. And obviously his serve is just a massive weapon where he wasn't like a couple of years back, even like around like last year this time around. I think he wasn't necessarily like spot serving, not nearly as well. Sometimes he was. I remember like seeing some of the NX serve, and he's got the power. He always had the power, but like sometimes he would miss by miles. Like he was not anywhere near close that like the service box. And right now it's just it's just so fluid service motion. It's just you know power like big serve, big forehand, good movement is a good recipe on grass.
Yeah. I think you've described everything I've been thinking really in much better detail than I could possibly have done that. Do you think that his next opponent could test him? It's either Ben Shelton or Denis Shapovalov. And do you think he has a preference as to which he gets?
Hmm. I have a feeling he would appreciate having Ben Shelton instead of Dennis, just because I feel like Dennis has more experience on grass, and Shelton is figuring out his game as well. He's coming to this place where he's a big guy. He plays big and he likes to play big as well. He's going to enjoy the big court as well. But it's in a place where he hasn't been to yet, whereas Dennis has, and then this kind of coming back is like kind of like rebuilding his career. I think Dennis is playing a tennis that could be more. Although both of them are pretty streaky, I think Dennis is less tricky right now. I think he would be able to like hang on with Sinner, and just peak for maybe 2 sets and just push it really hard to like a 4 set battle or a 5 setter. I think it could happen if Dennis comes through. But I might be saying too much in Shapovalov right now and too little in Ben. But I think Ben Shelton is just not going to find the answers, if you know what I mean. I think it's just going to keep hitting as hard as he can, and Sinner's just going to eat him up like from the baseline, just absorb pace and just do all the things that Ben isn't yet used to doing. So yeah, I think Ben would be a better player for Sinner.
I tell you what, though, you can't tell that you're Canadian, can you? Going immediately,
Yeah.
Shapovalov for the win.
To be clear, I don't think Shapovalov wins this match. I think it's just could make it very difficult.
Yeah, but for the win over Shelton, but also to test Sinner. But yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's Sinner, and I think we're pretty much ready to wrap up the third round. The only other result was Grigor Dimitrov coming through against Gael Monfils fairly straightforwardly. Monfils did take a tumble in the third set, which seemed to, but he was already a breakdown at that point and didn't seem to go down further. But yeah, I wasn't paying too close attention to this match, but it just seemed to me that Dimitrov, like the current version of Monfils, didn't have enough to do anything about Dimitrov, or he'd used all of his energy against Stan in the previous round.
Wasn't it a straight sets win?
It was straight sets. So I watched that match, and like Stan gave him a good go of it for the first set, and definitely the third set as well. Like it was a contest. It's just Monfils was a bit more comfortable out of the two in dealing, but he definitely was working. He wasn't flat anyway.
Yeah, I think this is one of Dimitrov's best seasons since like 2017, right? So if not the best since that time. So it's definitely like this the season wise, like, you know, Dimitrov was definitely the favorite. I think Monfils has come to a time in his career where it's definitely more similar to Stan's than it is to Djokovic's, for example. Or Djokovic is obviously like a slightly different comparison because, like, you know, GOAT, 24 Grand Slams or whatever, and magically still being able to hold number one at like 37 years old. But I think for 30, I think Monfils is about that age as well, 37, 38. He's definitely closer to his age. He's definitely showing a lot more like where he's at. He's had several injuries, so it's not a surprising result. I didn't necessarily think that Monfils was going to have much to give against Dimitrov playing well. Dimitrov is good on grass as well. I don't know. I just think that I looked at that result and I see it and I just think, well, it makes sense. And Dimitrov isn't that old either. I think he's like 33. So he's still like in tennis terms of like the 2020s, kind of in the end of his prime years. So he's doing well. So I didn't think that this match was going to be any epic, unless it was like maybe a first round. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess my surprise was more that Monfils didn't take it to any tie breaks or anything like that, which is what I thought might happen. Straight sets could see happening, but I thought maybe Monfils would make it a little bit closer. But yeah, Dimitrov is in full flow, and Dimitrov on grass has always been good. So yeah, maybe not a surprise. He's doing quite well. He will face the winner of Jan-Lennard Struff and Daniil Medvedev, who are like Medvedev won the first two sets and then ended up dropping the third in a bit of a crazy one that they seemed to exchange breaks a little bit. And then the rain came at the start of the fourth. I don't know. Did you catch any of that? Like I had it like in the background, but I wasn't paying attention to it because there were like two matches on at the same time that were more interesting. One of which we'll get to later. The other one was Alcaraz and Tiafoe. But I was a little surprised that Medvedev let that one go because he looked like he was still kind of in the third set, even though there was a breakdown.
Yeah, I mean, for starters, I don't really know why he was playing. Like, I guess like court number one has like too many people, but like I definitely felt like he could have been playing on court number one today, but I don't know. Decisions for scheduling and whatnot. But he kind of gave away the set though. Like that's what I felt. Like I feel like it was just kind of maybe getting annoyed. Maybe it was starting to rain a little bit already. And then he's just kind of double faulted, and he's kind of classic Daniil where he just kind of seems to lose interest on what he's doing for like 5 minutes, and then that was the end of the set. And Struff was like kind of this dangerous opponent where he's gonna take what he can get and he's gonna try to serve his way out of it and just kind of hit hard. He's good on grass as well. Not excellent. I think the first two sets are what Medvedev should be looking right now, and he shouldn't have dropped that set at that score at all. I feel like he should have at least pushed the tiebreaker. That's my view. I feel like he didn't he didn't play his he wasn't necessarily as focused at the end of that set, in my opinion.
So if he switches it back on tomorrow, he'll get the
Yeah.
job. He should get the job done, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it should, talk to his coaches and be like, "Hey, guy, you got to wake up. There's no reason why you should lose this match." So I think, yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. I give it like maybe a 6-3 tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's I on the scheduling thing. I think looking at it because they put Paulini Andreescu first on court 1, Dimitrov Monfils, Goff Kartal. Goff Kartal makes sense. I certainly wouldn't have changed the center court lineup. I think the center court lineup was great. So none of those should be on center instead. I think they went for spectacular matches. And maybe they felt Medvedev, because they put Rybakina on court 2 yesterday, so maybe they wanted to kind of they're putting a bigger name on court 2 and get some drawing, because court 2 tickets do get more expensive around this point. So maybe it was to kind of justify it, but who knows? Maybe I think TV decides a lot with the scheduling as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, well, I think that's the men's. So a lot of those matches we'll pick up tomorrow. Fognini Bautista Agut was the other match that obviously hasn't finished yet. I did not watch any of that match. I wasn't sure how it would go, although both are doing better than I thought they would. I think it's kind of been held at a point where it's 4-5 Fognini in the fourth, Bautista Agut leading 2 sets to 1. So that's either on the brink of a 5th set or Bautista Agut wrapping that up in 4. I mean, Fognini's doing better than I think they're both doing better than I thought at the minute.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting throwback battle. I think if you're feeling nostalgic, you should watch the end of that for sure. And yeah, it's I don't know what to think of it. I think it's an interesting match. I don't think it's going to change much of the directions of the draw, whatever happens at the end. But yeah, I also unfortunately didn't catch any of that one. I was trying to do some other matches, and I was struggling with my streams today, unfortunately. Some of them were just freezing way too much. So yeah, for me, it was just not really possible to catch up on this one.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I wasn't sure how good it was going to be either. So with this point, 10 years ago, we'd be all over it. But
yeah,
at this point in their careers, maybe not, given how streaky they were in their primes as well. Maybe less Bautista were good, but definitely Fognini.
Fognini, yeah.
Okay, well, women's draw, time to move on to?
Sure, let's go.
All right, well, I think the headline of the women's draw is Emma Raducanu is into the 4th round of Wimbledon for the 2nd time in her career, 3 years after the last time she made it. And yeah, right now on grass, looking very, very strong as, she basically dismissed Maria Sakkari. I mean, I'll give my thoughts on it and then I'll let you come in on it. I felt like Emma got the fast start, rattled Sakkari, and then Sakkari tried to get back in the match, but Emma was just too good in the pressure moments. And that was it. I think Raducanu wasn't broken, even though she saved multiple break points. And Sakkari eventually was just a little bit too erratic. Certainly wasn't the cleanest 6-2, 6-3 win I've seen, but I think the crowd also helped Emma quite a bit. And she's someone else I think is very much a big match, big arena player. I think that's where she prefers to be.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how she just kind of seemed to naturally enjoy that environment ever since she started really coming on tour and winning her first matches. think she took a while before she won a grand. Didn't she win a Grand Slam before she ever won a WTA level match? As in, like, not a Grand Slam match, but a WTA sanctioned tournament.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
No.
it's insane.
Yeah.
She either did that or like she reached the second week of a Grand Slam before she did that. But her career was entirely backwards from the start. Like, um, doing all the things that you're supposed to do like a few years in, like in her first try, essentially. And so all of that just kind of seems to like fit. uh, and enjoying herself now that seems to be injury free, which is great for it's probably the longest stretch she's been injury free now for a while. Back in second week at Wimbledon, I definitely expected this match to be tighter, but it definitely goes to show, I think, that Raducanu is in a better place mentally than maybe Sakkari ever was. I don't know. I think Sakkari always kind of struggled a little bit to like maintain focus and just um, do the right thing on court. And I think that kind of showed a bit today, as you pointed out, like as in like in the pressure moments. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that. I mean, like, actually going into this, my opinion was that on grass, if Raducanu's playing anywhere near her best, she beats Sakkari, because Sakkari on grass is not necessarily a combination that's worked too well over her career. That being said, it was very interesting, like after listening to your comments, and that the thought popped into my head. If you didn't know tennis and you didn't see the numbers or anything next to the names, if someone said which of these two is the seed and which of these two is the wild card, you would have put it the other way around, right? Watching that match.
Yeah. I mean, Raducanu definitely plays like a top 20 player at least. So yeah.
Yeah, she fully does. And we've seen it for time again. Like, she produces a top 20 level when she's on. And she's now in a very, very good section for her, potentially. Don't get me wrong, there are still some people who can cause her some headaches that she could slip up against. But on paper, if you're looking at how well she's playing right now, this is a prime opportunity to get back into a Grand Slam semi-final.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely I'm looking at the draw right now. There's no more seeded players left in that section, but both on the other side, who would be in the quarterfinals, Badosa and Vekic, are definitely players that play above their ranking. So I don't know much about Lulu's son, so it would
She's fairly new on the
definitely take
scene.
me. Sorry.
Yeah, she's 23. She was born in New Zealand, grew up in Switzerland, has moved back to New Zealand and is playing for them again now. But yeah, New Zealand is. But yeah, she's from New Zealand, and obviously the New Zealand players are, well, the New Zealand tennis fans are obviously all over the story. I haven't seen any of her matches. She beat Jean Chin Wen. And yeah, I'm curious to see how she plays and how she handles this situation, because she's certainly made the most of this opportunity.
Yeah, interesting to see, like, because I don't have much personal data on her, like in the sense that like I haven't seen her anything from her, even highlights. I haven't caught anything, so I don't even know what is her playing style like. But good stories like these are always awesome, and I think even though it's going to be even though Raducanu likes the big stage, I think the pressure is more on her. I think she's favorite to win this match, playing at home as well. I think there's going to be some pressure on her, like, and she hasn't been past that round, obviously, at a Grand Slam in a while, and at Wimbledon.
And it has to be said, with Emma, when she's the favorite, it can be hit or miss with her, because since like Madrid, she's mostly got through players that she should be beating. I would say Stuttgart anyway. Stuttgart, Madrid. Stuttgart. She lost in round 1 of Madrid. Stuttgart getting to quarterfinals. She got through that draw pretty well. Nottingham. She beat the players she should have beaten. Eastbourne, same thing. Wimbledon, she beat Zarazua, but it was a bit It was very nervy, and it got nervy towards the end of her opening round match in Nottingham. And I forget who it was against, but she was very comfortable. It was Shibahara, and it was nervy. So towards the end, so I will be interested to see how she handles it, because it's not like there's a clear pattern one way or the other. But if she prepares for it right, then she should be the favorite. If not, she could be giving Sun some free points.
Yeah, I definitely keep an eye on her matches, especially right now that we are getting to those more critical points of the tournament. It's definitely going to get tougher and tougher, and Lulusun definitely also doesn't have nothing to lose, right? So she's gonna come out as like the underdog and against the crowd as well. So I think it could be an interesting, nervy match, as you put. Yeah.
I will be interested to see how Sun responds to having the crowd against her.
Yeah.
Is she gonna struggle with that, or is she gonna go full Medvedev?
I don't know.
We don't know enough to know that. But it would be
not enough in her. But I particularly think that only Medvedev is Medvedev. So it'd be very interesting to have like someone like that in the WTA just kind of come out like that.
There is I'm sure there's a WTA player who does not care about the crowd and feeds off it, but I can't think who that is. It might be Danimal, to be honest. I'm pretty sure she's definitely. I'm pretty sure she's dealt with some hostile crowds on clay in like Rome or Paris.
Yeah, it'd be amazing to watch.
Well, as you said, Andre, there are no more seeds left because Raducanu took out Sakkari, and the only other seed that was still in the competition. No, there were 2 other seeds still in the competition, but the last seed standing on court 1, which is where the match finished, because they started on court 18, got rained off, and they decided to move it on to conclude court 1. Donna Vekic is through. She beat Diana Yastremska in a pretty close match up until the 3rd set, when Donna Vekic really dialed in towards the end. But yeah, back in the last 16 of Wimbledon, and technically the highest ranked player left in her section. But yeah, she had to get it on her 8th match point, I think, because Yastremska just went full on clutch in whenever she was match point down. But yeah, overall, Vekic through, and it's a good result for her, especially given some thought she underperformed at Wimbledon last year.
Yeah, I think she has a great game. I think for Grass as well, just like really power play, just deep. And she's just very, I won't say clutch, but she's like very focused. She just shows a lot of grit on court. I think Yastremska sometimes will miss that, and I feel like maybe something in the third, she may have just kind of lost her focus for a little bit and wouldn't really regain anything until those match points. And it was just weird to me to see that, just like where was all that during all the other games that you lost in this set. So I think it's just Beckett is a player that I find just is very focused and just not afraid to play anybody, much less anyone that isn't a seed anymore. So I think even though Raducanu is the star of this quarter right now, Vekic and even Badosa, whom she's playing, I think the next round are more so Vekic. I think she's more of a quiet favorite to come out of this to the quarterfinals. Just yeah.
Yeah, she would be by ranking, and a lot of that match is going to depend on Badosa's fitness, right? Because she says that she's in pain pretty much every day anyway. But she's back in the last 16 of a slam, Badosa. Finally, after this comeback, and it's been a long time coming. She was in tears. She was in tears at the end of the match with Daria Kasatkina, who was probably a lot of people's favorite to make it through this section up until this point. But yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on this match because I don't know if you saw it. If you haven't, I recommend it because it was so good. It was so tight. It was almost 3 hours, and the quality, it was pretty good. I mean, yeah, but Badosa was just going for everything, and Kasatkina was getting a racket on as much as she could and able to find ways of disrupting and occasionally hitting her own winners. And I thought it was a fantastic way to show two different baseline styles. And yeah, they were just both playing really well. I thought anyway, but it seems to me only Damien and I were making fuss about this match on Twitter. So hard to say, but I thought it was certainly the best women's match I've seen at the tournament so far.
I saw some games off of it. I just had it on and I was doing other things. Like it's a Friday, so
Alcaraz Tiafoe was at the same time, which didn't help.
Yeah, exactly. I had two at the same time, but I'm just kind of like looking at it now. It's like tough to focus on two things at once, even three. But I saw it. I definitely saw it, and I saw like how Badosa came back from a breakdown. The third, I think, it was 4-2 down. Came back to win the next 4 games. Pointed at her head when she got the break. Tight game as well. I think Kasatkina, I think her only fault was necessarily not being able to translate too much defense into attack. I think oftentimes when she was just on the back foot, she could put balls back into play, but then I think Badosa kind of found a bit more of a groove and started just kind of reading the game better and just like positioning herself better, like having a better footwork and just unleashing on the forehand. But yeah, it was a great match. I think it described it well. It's like a more defensive prone player like Kasatkina and a full power player like Badosa were just, doing everything that they could to try and win that match. And it could have turned either way. I think Kasatkina could have easily maybe even gotten a break and gotten back into that match later on in the third. So yeah, it was great. I think I definitely recommend it as well. I should try to like see if I can find like longer highlights or a replay of that match because yeah, it was really good. And just I was really impressed at the end because Kasatkina's defense was very deep. It wasn't bad defense. She wasn't just putting balls back into play. She was putting them into play deep, even though it wasn't necessarily attacking or just like trying to find a way to like turn it around. But those showed really good fitness to just kind of like keep playing at that level up until the end because some of the shots that she hit were deceptively hard to make. So yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And do you know what? She is actually very good at, she can turn defense into attack. Like sometimes she does open up, she sees an open space and goes for it and she can hit a winner. She just she doesn't choose to very often. But when she does, it's pretty good. So yeah, that was that match. I want to talk about that match, but great result for Badosa, who I'm very happy to see in this point of a slam again for her.
Yeah. I want to see what happens. Like you said, she's in pain. Is she just like have chronic pain right now? Is that an issue that she has to deal with? I've read a few. Also, I've not necessarily been on Twitter all that much lately. So I tweet like twice a day. I tweet a lot. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I go through fits and starts. Like I'm tweeting a lot because I'm off work. If I'm at work, I might not tweet that much. I think I spent the entire last weekend not tweeting actually because I was away. So yeah. Don't have to do that. Sorry, guys. We don't produce content all of the time.
Yeah.
All right. I'm aware that we probably want to wrap things up sooner rather than later. So let's talk about the big seed result. Coco Gauff is through against Sonai Cartel. And yeah, it was a 6-4, 6-love win. Cartel fought really hard the first set to keep it to 1 break, but she couldn't deal with the quality of Gauff, especially on the defense, that she was just making her go for it, and Cartel just couldn't hit through her. And then Gauff was able to craft positions where she could take advantage and win the points pretty well. So in the end, Gauff, as expected, gets through this section comfortably. What's impressed me is how emphatic some of those scorelines have been, because I don't associate 6-1, 6-love sets with Coco Gauff.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right in that sense. She normally has some struggles here and there, like forehand double faults. She hit 4 double faults this match. Not a lot, honestly. But yeah, I think she just kind of frustrates her opponents right now. I think she's finding her game. She just played a great match. I mean, her level was just like high all the time. And even though she made a few errors here and there, maybe it could be costly against higher seeds, against players who are playing, really, really well. But today, it got the job done, like no problem. I think Cartel was overplaying a lot of her shots. I think she just really, really wanted to go for the lines. Probably effect of Coco Gauff being extremely well on defense. But yeah, I mean, that's not really much to add. I think this match was exactly as people would have expected. Maybe even more lopsided than that. But yeah, I feel like the first set got a good taste of how Cartel could have played, but at the end, Coco Gauff is just too much. So yeah.
I mean, Gauff is playing super well on grass like now. I'm loving how she's carrying herself, and she's currently walking like she knows she belongs at the top of the game right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think she, even if her head-to-head against Swiatek is pretty sad, it's not something that she probably enjoys seeing or being reminded of. I don't think that she believes that that's the end of the story. I still think that she has a lot more wins in big tournaments. If she has to face Iga Swiatek, I believe she still believes there's plenty of wins to come against her still. So yeah, I just really like to see her attitude.
I would be shocked if Coco doesn't win another match against Iga. Like, I would be shocked. She's too good not to.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, Iga Swiatek is a phenomenal player, and she will likely have the edge in the rivalry always. But the idea that Gauff is just going to forever lose to her, I think, is silly. If you look at other sort of top player rivalries, yeah, that just doesn't happen, really.
Yeah, and especially if you consider like even how she won the U.S. Open, she was not the favorite against Sabalenka, and she just found a way to grind her win, found ways to disrupt the game and just be able to like keep herself in until she won the match. And I think she's going to do this again, and she's going to only get better. I think she only gets better. Like her forehand is going to change. She's going to make adjustments. Her serve is going to change. She's going to make adjustment. Even her backhand is going to be even more of a weapon than it already is. So, yeah.
Well, we'll see how it goes. Like on a faster surface, she's got a chance anyway. She's playing Emma Navarro next, and I'm actually really looking forward to that match because they're both expert defenders. There's going to be some long rallies in that one. It's probably going to depend on Navarro's level, but because I'm going to be honest, it was a really scrappy win against Diana Schneider. There were multiple breaks. Schneider looked in control of that match and then seemed to develop some kind of physical issue, backed off. And yeah, to me, Navarro To me, Navarro deserved that win, but she's going to have to be a bit more consistent against Goff if she's going to have a chance.
Yeah, I think Goff might be able to, clutch out essentially, especially on her own serve. Her first serve is really good, even though she double faults at times. I think her first serve kind of covers for a lot of it. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see that. Yeah, it's just excited to see what happens. But in terms of who is the favorite and who I believe is going to come through, I still think Goff makes it in 2 sets. I would say if I had to guess a score line just out of the blue, I would say something like a 7-6, 6-4. That's what would be my guess.
But yeah, I suppose if Navarro is on, you expecting a lot of rallies. I timed that really badly for you. Sorry.
Yeah. No, sorry.
Okay. Another really fun battle that happened today. Probably not one you want to talk too much about. But I suspect you did watch this match. Jasmine Paolini coming through against Bianca Andreescu 7-6, 6-1. Really good first set. Really enjoyed it. Bianca seemed to be on it, but just couldn't keep up with Paolini in the second set. And Paolini is carrying this momentum from the French Open really well and looking far better on grass than I think we thought she would be.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did not watch this match. It was early, and I just kind of I overslept a little, so when I woke up, it was already over. But I was a little surprised to see the 6-1 scoreline. I didn't think this was going to be a 7-6, 6-1 kind of match. But then again, I think you kind of have to look at Andreescu's path until now. She hasn't played that many matches coming into Wimbledon. Like, she did well at Roland Garros, yes, but I don't think she did much before that even. She has been playing well. I think she's been has a good attitude towards the game right now, but I think it's just like a matter of like Paolini just being more match fit in general. Like, I think she's, as you said, like she just carried the momentum. She's having the season of her career right now. I think that was I feel like if the first set had gone to Andreescu, it might have been a different story. But I think after that, like, she just felt too good to be defeated, and I think that might have been the reason why. Again, I didn't watch the match, so I can't really comment on this. I just comment on form, and maybe Andreescu's slightly trickier nature kind of added maybe a dip. Maybe she got broken early in the second set, and then she couldn't really recover.
Yeah. And she did dip a little bit. She couldn't. Yeah, I think she struggled to come back after that tie break. A little. As Paolini, however, but whereas Paolini maintained the intensity and just grew in confidence.
Yeah. Definitely, we should try to get to watch some highlights of that one before I comment on the next Paolini match.
Yeah, well, next Paolini match is against Madison Keys, who got through Marta Kostyuk. Straight sets, business-like, wasn't dominant, but definitely able to hit through Kostyuk when things were flowing nicely. And Madison Keys is an interesting place right now. I don't know if you agree with that, where, she's getting the job done more often than not. And obviously you expect her to be confident on grass. She did well at Eastbourne semi-finals. And she's quietly going about her business and might play a factor in how this tournament turns out.
Yeah, I'm not sure about you, but I'm hesitant normally about like picking Madison Keys to be a major factor in a major. Although she is able to play big, and her level is normally, her ceiling is really, really high. There's no doubt about it. But it just happens too often that like she will have an off day and not necessarily, or like an off set, and that will be it, and that causes her defeat. I think the best of three format on Grand Slams for the women plays a bit of a part in this one. But yeah, I think she still she might have a big upset in her still. Like I think she always has a potential for a major upset. Even if she doesn't go on to win the tournament, I think she is always a dangerous player. So you don't want to be the first tournament favorite to run against her. I think that's basically all I would be scared of.
Yeah, well, that would be potentially Goff in the quarters,
Yeah.
depending on how Keys Paolini goes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be, yeah, I think that would be interesting. All right, wow, yeah, Keys through, some things still to be completed, but we are done with running down today. I think not bad for an hour.
Yeah.
All right, so order of play for tomorrow. Centre court starts with Cameron Norrie against Alexander Zverev. Then Ons Jabeur against Ines Svitolina, and then Alexei Popyrin against Novak Djokovic. Any of those kind of stand out to you as must watch, or is there kind of a clear narrative there?
I mean, Jabeur Svitolina is definitely a must watch. I can't remember if they played last year, but
Well, they were not in the semi-finals.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely a must watch match. It's probably going to be the best match of center court tomorrow.
I agree.
So yeah, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna I wouldn't put my money on it, but I think there's Cameron Norrie potential for upset tomorrow as well.
I think there is. I know he's got a love 5 head-to-head with Medvedev, but he's more confident on grass. He's just had a boost from beating Draper, and he'll have the British crowd behind it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a match to look out for, but wouldn't keep my hopes up for the British crowd. Yeah.
And by the way, James is covering that match tomorrow for Talking Tennis. I don't know if we've got an evening match lined up, but I know that's our day match. Yeah, and then Djokovic should dismiss Popyrin. Then we've got court 1, Shelton Shapovalov to finish. It's 3-2 going with serve at the present. So we've talked about that one a little bit. I think we're thinking probably Shapovalov comes through that. He's probably got a little bit more to his game on grass. Shelton's still figuring some things out. Then we've got Swiatek against Putintseva. Then Rybakina versus Wozniacki. And then the mixed doubles match of Aravalo Zhang against Murray and Raducanu, which is the obviously big hype story in the media right now in Britain. But again, do you? We kind of, if you want to add anything more on Shelton Shapovalov, do. But I think we've talked about that. Do you see any potential upsets in the singles?
It's always tough to say. I don't think so. I feel like this section is okay. If you consider Shapovalov beating Shelton an upset, then that's the one that I see happening. But yeah. Do you think Swiatek comes through easily against Putintseva? I think that's a tricky one.
Hard because Putintseva is playing really confidently, and she has the ability to irritate Iga on grass. On the other hand, Iga has a very favourable head-to-head with her and can out-hit her. So that's the thing. And then, so there's that sort of, I don't want to get ahead of myself because I was doing the same thing at the French Open, even though it was a dead set, Iga was going to win. It wasn't, I don't like to kind of assume she's going to win anything at this point, even though she's very strong. But that's the fan in me coming out. If I just use my head, on paper, she should win this. Rybakina Wozniacki, Rybakina should be able to hit through Wozniacki on grass. The only reason it wouldn't work is if Rybakina's first serve fails her and Wozniacki is finding ways to use her defense to get things back into play.
Yeah. I think for Wozniacki, key for her, aside from obviously hoping that the first serve is like nowhere near where it needs to be for Rybakina, but I think her own first serve needs to be firing, and I think she needs to try and hit her forehand more aggressively and take advantage of the backhand to backhand rallies whenever she can, because the forehand is a clear win for Rybakina.
All right, and then obviously the mixed doubles match. Aravalo and Zhang, Murray Raducanu. I mean, doubles is so hard to predict, so I'm not going to look for that. But that should be fun, right?
Yeah, this one is party mode. Obviously, most people are rooting for the Murray Raducanu duo to win because it's going to be iconic for as long as it lasts. And it's Murray's 99% sure last Wimbledon, if not 100. I don't really know. Tough to say with Andy at this time, but like I feel like this is it. But
this is it.
Yeah, you wouldn't get like a third tribute video. But yeah, I think this is it. Like I feel like this is just all heart. There is barely any head that should even go into it. I feel like nobody's really like looking too much into this being like the overly analyzed match. I think it just really feels.
And I think really heart sometimes is what wins you mixed doubles matches. If we look at people who've done well in the past, or at least won a couple of matches. All right, just going to roll with the singles. So just court 2, Harriet Dart is playing Wang Jingyu. Dart will have a lot of British backing. Wang is coming off a real high from beating Pegula and playing really well in that match. So that's so I think that one could go either way in my eyes. Medvedev, we've talked about, he should beat Struff if he's got his head together. And then Fritz to Bio, that could be interesting. That one could be very competitive, but I'm looking towards Taylor Fritz.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't know. I think Fritz should be more comfortable on grass, even though Tabilo is playing really good, really well right now. So yeah.
Yeah. And how are you in a place to make any comments about Dart Wong or not really?
I tend to agree with you. I feel like unseeded players match up, and yeah, I'm not really confident in like making a call here, but I feel like it could go out there. I really agree with what your statement was early on.
Yeah. All right, court 3, Luca Pouille, kind of the feel-good story of the men's draw at the minute against Alex de Minaur. That's one of those ones where de Minaur should win it, but Pouille's got it in him if he's fit to cause an upset here. And then Collins Haddad Meyer, and I'm not sure which way that one's going, to be honest.
For Haddad Meyer Collins, I think right now I'd probably put my money on Collins just because I feel like she's been more consistent. Haddad Meyer has had like a slightly more disappointing season even so far. She is good on grass. She's playing well. She got a couple wins. I think one of them was by retirement. But yeah, it could be an interesting one. But I think Collins should come through this one in 2 sets even. But, yeah. Sadly, because I'm Brazilian, so I really wish Haddad Maia would play. If the fan in me is speaking, I wish he would win, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. And yeah, I think for de Minaur as well. Yeah, I think he's the favorite as well. I think for this one, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we know what the clear favorites are. I mean, like, yeah, Colin. It's hard. I think it's going to depend on Haddad Meyer's level. That Collins Haddad Meyer match. If Haddad Meyer's off, Collins wins. If Haddad Meyer's on, it's close. And I don't, because Collins on grass should work, but obviously it's not necessarily happened that way, her career. But Yeah, you're probably right. I think it. Yeah, if Hadama's on, she'll frustrate Collins. If she's not, Collins will run riot.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
And then court 18 has. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so court 12 has to finish Umber Nakashima. That's going into a fourth set. Umber's leading by 2-1. So I think we talked a bit about that already. And then Bernarda Pera against Elena Ostapenko. That one's hard to predict because it's Ostapenko. Ostapenko should win that match. It depends on how she's playing.
Court 12. Yeah. Agreed.
Court 18
would take a really serious dip for Ostapenko to lose, I'd say. Yeah.
Which is not unheard of for Ostapenko.
Yeah. That's why I put it out there.
Yeah. Which of course potentially sets up a Swiatek or Putintseva clash in the fourth round. Court 18, Anna Kalinskaya against Ludmila Samsonova. That, for me, that's the match I'm watching tomorrow morning first thing, because that's good. I think that's going to be a good match. I think they're both in good form on grass, and I don't know which way that one's going to go, and I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I think those are just two kinds of players where they are ranked almost exactly, I think, where they should be in terms of like where they are at right now and the level that they've shown. But they're able to play really, really well if they're on. So yeah, I think this one is just going to be a battle. I would say definitely, I would agree with you. I think this match is going to be very, very, very early for me tomorrow morning. I think it could be anywhere like around like maybe let me see, 6 a.m. probably. Yeah, but yeah. Okay. But so I might miss that one. But if you can watch this match, I'd recommend it. I think it's going to be a true pleasure for tennis fans.
And then the following match is Holger Rune against Quentin Halys. Do you see that being a straightforward Rune win, or can Halys spring the upset?
I think an upset is a bit. I think an upset is a bit too much, but I think it could be a four set. I think they might, in my opinion, I think they trade the first two sets, and then Rune goes on like a 6-3, 6-3. I don't think it's going to be an eventful epic, but I think Halys has the potential to take a set off.
Is it all going to depend on Rune's level?
Yeah.
It is for me.
It is, yeah. Which has been questionable lately, but
yeah,
at least he's been backing himself up in this last few tournaments.
All right, and then just looking at other matches, scrolling down to court 14, Barbora Krejcikova against Bujas Monero, who obviously knocked out Vondrousova for first round and then backed it up. I didn't watch that match. I was at Wimbledon, but I wasn't on center. I didn't see it. Krejcikova has kind of scrapped her way this far. Is Bujas Monero ready to take another scalp?
I think Krejcikova is a possible one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it depends on Krejcikova's level. That's what I would say. But even more so than Ostapenko's dips being likely to happen, I think Krejcikova's not doing her best is far more likely. So it's possible.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that position, do you? All right, and then the last, is that the last one? Let me check. No. Court 14. Following court 14 is sorry, I've lost it. It was Komisana, who again, he's the other kind of underdog winner from Tuesday, beating of course Andrei Rublev. Do you see him following that up with a win against Musetti, or is Musetti too strong on grass right now?
I think if Komisana had to pick an opponent that he could beat, I think Musetti would be like maybe in the list. But I think maybe I would put a question mark on whether his fitness is going to get him through, because I believe he's played some really tough matches, right? Playing Rublev
Yeah.
couldn't have been an easy one. Where are we in this? Yeah, and he played a 5-set match just before that. So yeah, I think Musetti should come through this one, if not only because he's definitely he would be the fresher player, even though Musetti also has been playing some tough long matches as well. So, but I think Musetti should be the favorite to win this one.
Yeah, he would be on paper as well. And I backed him to do quite well in this draw. I think I had him in the quarterfinals against Fritz in my bracket. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, Musetti, obviously, we're going to go with the seeding here. Court 15, Artur Fils, Roman Safiulin. That, not sure how that's going to go. Might be fun if you've got a grounds pass, go see it.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely like on the same kind of not level, but same vibes. I would say Kanskaya, Samsonova, but Samsonova Kanskaya is probably going to be a better match.
Yeah. Court 17, Court 16, Fanini Bautista Agut. We've talked about that. Well, I don't know if we talked who might win that one in the end, but I think we were probably edging towards RBA, but they're both streaky players. And then the last match is Empesci Pericard playing Rusevori on Court 17. Who would have thought that would be the third round match?
Yeah. Isn't Empesci Pericard a lucky loser?
He is, yeah.
Yeah. That's
I think this guy is 100 at the minute.
Yeah. I think he's a crazy player. I think he's got really a lot of potential. Rusevori has had a lot of potential for a while, but he just kind of so tricky. I don't know what to say.
I not think he beat Tsitsipas, and then he did.
So yeah. So yeah, I think this one is going to be like go, because there's absolutely no way who can tell who's going to win this match.
No, absolutely not. So yeah, I think that would be right.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Is there any other matches that come to your attention?
It. That's the end of the singles lineup. I think we're all good. So there we go. Day 5 of Wimbledon done. Day 6 coming up in about 12 hours. So
all right.
I think we better get some sleep. Get ready for that. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Andre. Really enjoyed talking to you about tennis.
Same as always.
Fantastic. And tune in tomorrow for more coverage of the tennis. And we will be back tomorrow. As I believe James is going to take us through Norrie versus Zverev. TBD on an evening match, but keep an eye out. And then, of course, there will be another Last Ball Drops tomorrow. And currently slated, it's myself and Vanch covering that one. So I hope to see you then. But in the meantime, take care and keep talking tennis.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.